Welcome to another episode of Q&A. I got a very exciting guest on. He is a producer, he's a beat maker, videography. This man ran his own studio for a very long time. His name is Hoopaloop. You can find him often with hashtags Hoopaloop Beats, at Hoopaloop Beats. He's going to come on and kick some game for us, and he's going to do a demo in his studio. So I'm super excited. I'm going to bring him on in. Hey, Hoopaloop, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm super excited for this, man. I know you bring a lot of knowledge and experience, and from my understanding, you might be doing a bit of a demo for us, which is exciting.
If we can get it rocking, you bet.
Yeah, I know this day and age with, isolation and things like that can be a little limiting, and we can't do an in-person thing, but we'll try our best.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I guess if you can give us a very quick rundown of what first got you into producing music.
Since a young teenager, basically playing guitar and playing, the standard metal band type instruments. That's basically what got me in the door. My dad played guitar, so there was always an instrument around. So that kind of got me in the door, and, spent many years basically playing in metal bands and on the heavier side of things. And out of necessity of recording myself and working with my band members and whatnot, it kind of evolved into basically growing an equipment collection. And with that equipment collection,
and you use that term lightly, a collection.
Very lightly. I had one friend who used to make beats on his computer. Ear Cred, my buddy Mike, he basically...
Shout out Ear Cred.
Shout out Ear Cred. Yeah. I started just with a computer, simply, which is the most popular these days, a MIDI controller going into Reason, and just started playing around. Mm-hmm. From there, obviously, with the metal stuff, I got myself a nice microphone. Had to teach myself how to scream Cookie Monster. And then, basically from having the gear and just kind of trial and error, it began attracting a few different people. That would be Mike, like I said, B-Tox, Adam. We got together around that time. And then, it just kind of kept going on a bit of a slippery slope until I got the one piece of gear that actually changed how I do everything.
Oh, what was that?
That was the Akai MPC 5000.
I kind of thought you were going to say that because, that's a producing dream right there. I love them myself. I don't really use them myself, but like you and other producer friends, it's an amazing piece of equipment. It's like a holy grail.
It really is. Especially from coming from using MIDI controllers and software. I got an MPC Studio first. It wasn't until actually I did a bit of an exchange with Mike, because he had an MPC 5000. So we did a bit of a trade and an exchange. And when I found the 5000 is when I pretty much fell in love with it.
But you also, because of your rock background, your metal background, you play a lot of instruments. Besides maybe the occasional sample, like a record sample, you actually are, all your beats, you're actually making those and recording those in the studio. Is that true?
A lot of them. Definitely there is on almost every production that I do work on, there is a human element in there. So the joys of being analog based in a certain sense is it has its good and bad. For one, analog gear is heavy. The MPC 5000 to the MPC X, which is what I produce on now, like the X only weighs 12.5 pounds.
And it's like what, half as thin or less? Or
yeah, you don't think that like 6 pounds makes that much difference, but it does.
Yeah. So you get a workout in your studio too. You just got to do reps of your MPC.
Always. Everything is gains in, more ways than one.
Nice. Another question I had for you. So you like to work with a lot of different artists, but does that mean you just work with whoever, or how do you kind of navigate who you want to work with on something you produced?
To be honest, that's actually kind of changed over time. I think I put out my first beat about 3 years ago. So producing and everything else, I kind of spent a bit of time in the shadows with it. Locally, I really just took a look out there. I was like, who's doing things, who's doing what? if you're interested in collaborating, let's get together and let's see where that takes us. If I play a beat like this and they're like, oh yeah, this is sweet, then I know what the next 3 beats I'm going to play for them are.
Makes sense.
And,
you're feeling them out sort of thing.
If somebody gets excited for it, like that's the energy you want.
Right.
If you turn on that song and somebody starts rapping, that's a go. You're good.
Right. Right. Yeah, I actually just saw the old classic clip pop up. For some reason now it's recirculating, but it was Jay-Z in studio, listen to beats.
The Timbaland beat?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I don't know why my brain couldn't think of his name.
Very familiar with the video.
And I've seen the original video years ago. It's that look on Jay's face. And then you pan over the Timbaland, and he's just like, I know I got something he likes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you're hiding treasure. And, for every artist, somewhere in that tickle trunk, shout out Mr. Dress Up. By the way.
Yeah.
When you take a dig into that tickle trunk, there's something in there for any mood, any, that's kind of what I do when I produce. It's how I feel at the very moment I sit down with my machine. Moments that I can say is like so important to capture, just from doing the engineering and everything else, is if you're listening to something and somebody's mouth opens and they start going off, put them in front of the mic. Don't waste the energy. Don't let it come out. Turn on the microphone and go. But if you miss that first energy, it can be really difficult. And That's what I find a lot of the time, something gets put on a shelf. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, it's just not ready yet. I feel like I can do it better. A good example of that is the Cairo and Hoopaloop song Radiate.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, we recorded that song the very first day we ever got together to work.
Wow.
We recorded 2 songs. Both have been released. The first song we ever recorded was for Belly of the Beast.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a little different for me, that beat. When it comes to, like I said, Radiate, that was a song where I really felt like I had a good beat for that one. I'm like, I wonder who's going to be like the candidate that sees this. And, I did the same thing with the Grand Communicators beat, which is Polly Free, Cairo, and Bill Rhyme.
Yeah, I heard that one too.
And when Cody and I had done Belly of the Beast, I was like, okay, I've been hiding this beat. Let's check it out. And I started playing for it. Instantly, the words came out. Wow. And was like, get on the microphone. We were already set up. Let's not even waste this momentum. And those vocals that ended up on the song are those ones. They weren't redone. They weren't touched up. The feeling, the emotion was there.
Nice.
I mean, to be honest with you, I've been a little bit lucky. When I was making beats and I was making all the vibes, Polly Free was literally one of the first artists that kind of came in. And if it wasn't for starting that relationship to even just build up my own confidence, this is the first person coming from outside, kind of taking a look at the spoils and being like, I can get inspired by this.
Have you ever had a situation where you really wanted to release some music, but you just couldn't find the right artist? Was there a time where you're like, I want this out, and I prefer to have vocals, and I can't find the right person? Does that happen, and how do you handle that?
It definitely happens. A good thing to look to is acapellas. If you can find something that, I can't stress the importance of how awesome it is to live in our day and age of internet, where you can fire up YouTube and almost get any popular acapella to give you a feel, to give you a vibe. You're handpicking the words that work with your feeling. I've done a couple of remixes myself where the vocal as an acapella just doesn't work in its exact configuration. So I've gone in there and cut it up and made those verses hit where I want them to hit. To find the right artist, like, one of the big things is patience. It's hard to hit somebody up and your first interaction with them is, hey, I'm expecting something from you. That's a very hard way to try and get to a goal. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have to be able to take that step, hit somebody that you're like, you want to fanboy out to somebody, And, you know, you got to kind of put that away, and it's just a person. It's just another person. And, you know, if it comes back, awesome. If it doesn't, like, it's not a way to be discouraged, especially if it's something you want to put out. And that's why it's kind of important for me personally to be able to brand myself in a way as well. If you, at the end of the day, if you don't end up finding that artist, but it's something you're passionate about, something you feel like you really put your own character into, I mean, you can release things as a beat tape. I've done it myself. Ironically, the beat tape that I put out, The Idea Cross, is a 5-song blend of beats, and I was actually in a musical drought at that time. And my girlfriend Jasmine and I ended up going to Minneapolis to go and see a Nujabes tribute by Shing02. And while we were there, obviously in Minnesota, record shops, that's what you have to do. You have to go check out every record shop you can while you're there.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're, you know, the interests that I have. And that whole beat tape, for instance, came from one record. The whole concept, the whole idea.
Oh, wow.
It was a business seminar record of how to get your ideas across. And that was what it was called. Hence my beat tape, The Idea Cross, every one of those beats has an excerpt from that record itself. And that's another part that was actually kind of interesting when you had let us know about the TikTok video of Cairo and Hoopaloop featuring DJ Stop on the scratches.
Yeah. Oh, geez. I don't even think I knew that. Okay.
Yeah, that is DJ Stop on the scratches for that.
Good close friend of mine. Shout out DJ Stop as well. Shout out Cairo. Yeah, so to quickly break down for those watching, some of you are on TikTok, some don't understand it yet. Don't blame you. It's quite its own beast. But these gentlemen have music on there, and I was just on my random timeline watching like just random videos in my downtime or whatever, and I'm watching this video, and I'm like, that sounds like Cairo. And I'm like, huh? And I click the link, and it loads up Hoopaloop and Cairo. And I'm like, what? And his video's got like, I don't know, 1,000 like hearts and like 100,000 views or something or whatever it was. And then you go click it, and there's just that one little clip was used by 182 users. And I'm like, and as far as I knew, and you guys did have accounts, but I didn't know that. And I'm like, I don't think these guys know. Like, this is hard to get to happen.
I'm not going to lie.
We didn't pop there.
We didn't know until you said it.
I'm like, guys, I don't know if you know this, but like, this is huge. You guys got to try and reciprocate this, because I mean, Old Town Road, right, by Lil Nas X, that happened, that blew up because of TikTok. The song was already out for a while,
also a perfect example, to get back to the other point that we made. That producer for Old Town Road, that was a beat up on BeatStars. I don't know if you've seen the interviews of him talking about it. But
clips, not the whole...
Clips. I believe it was pretty much something, he was almost at the point of taking it down.
Wow.
And taking it off of there, and then it got bought up. But as a producer, you have to think about what selling your beats does. If you sell your beat and you sell an exclusive right, you know, it's gone. It's gone. Yeah, you've literally given away
control, right?
For $200, $300, $500. You've taken that right out of your arsenal. It's so easy in this day and age to just own your share of something you do. You're almost future-proofing yourself in a way too, that if that makes a surge, you still have your piece of the pie. But speaking on inspiration, I'm kind of itching to see some demo, because I see some really nice instruments and equipment behind you here. So I'm wondering if you were willing to do some sort of demo for us. So I loaded up a bit of a drum kit. Obviously, for myself, I'm an Akai guy. A guy in his Akai is literally like my name blessed by Cairo. Nice. He's like, yeah, a guy in his Akai. That's pretty much
a guy in his Akai with Cairo.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I just, like I said, I have a lot of love for their products, because I can go from one piece of equipment to something that came out 10 years before it to something that came out 10 years after it. For this, actually, I've got a sample. So I've got basically a little bit of an 8-bar sample. If I do use a sample and I find it sounds a little too digital, then I'll send it out to some of my analog crunch boxes and stuff. But for the sake of this demo, let's cut this up and essentially obviously workflow is going to be different for everybody. But so I've cut it up into 16 slices. The loop itself I'm working with is 90 BPM. So just throw a little, I bounced out what we've chopped up, got a little bit of a drum beat in which to get started. So through this, I'll play with a little bit of a drum beat. And like I said, the beat's not necessarily going to be the end product, but it's better than a metronome. I've used as a sample. I always try and revert back to it, but I also try and find different ways to cut it up. So that way you can have variance on it, because like something like that, obviously very straightforward. But to mix it up, if you wanted to have, a different feel into a verse or a different feel. And so essentially I copy the sequence with my beat. And then this, just a very slight variation on the same sample, can give you a little bit of a different feel from a verse, chorus. So back to the first cut. I personally like to work with swing, and I like to work with timing correct. So even this particular beat, if I were to get rid of what we've done on the drums, I'll show you basically how I'll take that idea and alter it completely. So a little note repeat with swing. And just something as simple as that can give you a big variation on the feel of the project as well. And so yeah, that's pretty much just a quick little demo just to show how to change up a common sample, something simple with a little bit of a drum beat, adding a bit of swing. You can turn quantize off, which can give you a little bit of a delayed feel to drag. Without swing, obviously, we had which sounds very like robotic, very on point, obviously perfect in the eyes of programming it. But then you can take something like this to really give it a bounce, give it a feel, and give an artist something to bounce off of.
Some of the producers watching are probably like reaching for their MPCs right now. You're getting them all triggered, ready to create. So that's awesome. Please feel free to share this to someone who you think would appreciate this, who would get excited about this. Just being in the music industry, these are exciting things for people to learn. And the fact that Hoopaloop's on to reach out and help this show give advice and give tips we're very grateful for it, and grateful for your time. Especially you're mentioning you're in the middle of moving, I believe, a home and a studio. People have been seeing your tag below, Hoopaloop Beats. Check him out. He's worked with a lot of artists. He produced quality music that I personally enjoy. I know you guys will too.
And thank you so much for having me out to chat with you. I've been loving watching what you've been putting on with Q&A, and
thank you.
The involvement with Northern Touch. Obviously people who will be seeing this really know the kind of work you do in front of and behind the camera, mostly behind. That's why I was very happy to see this series coming about. And
thank you, man.
Chatting with people in here, you guys are doing awesome things with it, and
Appreciate
I'm blessed
that.
to be a part of it. So thank you very much.
goes both ways. And like I said, we're all in this weird new world. And if we can't have the traditional festival, we still, the reason why we did the festival is to help artists grow. And so we want to do that. And this is the way to do it in these current times, is getting on Zoom and producing videos and getting it on social media. So, we couldn't do it without guests like you, because we aren't know-it-alls, and no one wants to just see my face every single time. I wouldn't want to either. So
it is in the name, it is Q&A. We kind of know what we're signing up for.
There you go. Well, thanks again, man. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Stay healthy. And for those watching, again, check out the social medias, support good producers, good music, people who are willing to reach out and help you guys. And don't stop creating. You can create in your homes, even in isolation. I mean, there's proof right in front of you. Hoopaloop is still going at her strong. So, and remember, I mean, hip hop and R&B, this kind of music was kind of born in the basement, the underground. We should be thriving during this with making art. So keep doing it. Hopefully this helps you create even more, and let's all stay healthy.
Awesome. Thank you.
Peace.